Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden ship. The wind is freezing. Towering waves crash against the hull. Every direction looks exactly the same. No coastline, no lighthouse, no stars, no compass, no map, no GPS. Just an endless gray ocean stretching to the horizon. Now imagine someone asking you to sail nearly 2,000 kilometers across that ocean and find a tiny island you've never seen before. Most people would call it impossible. But more than 1,000 years ago, the Norsemen did exactly that. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. They reached Iceland. They settled Greenland. And around the year 1000, they even reached North America, almost 5 centuries before Columbus crossed the Atlantic. So here's the real mystery. How did they know where they were going? Were they simply lucky? Or did they possess a navigation system so advanced that historians are still trying to understand it today? The answer is far more incredible than most people realize. To understand how extraordinary this achievement was, you first need to understand the North Atlantic. Even today, experienced sailors respect these waters. Massive waves, powerful currents, dense fog, sudden storms, freezing temperatures. One wrong decision can push a ship hundreds of kilometers off course. During the Viking Age, the danger was even greater. Their ships had no engines, no radio, no emergency rescue. If a storm destroyed your mast or carried you too far into the open ocean, nobody was coming to save you. You simply disappeared. Yet archaeological discoveries tell us the Norsemen weren't afraid of these waters. They mastered them. From the rugged coast of Norway, they sailed west to the Shetland Islands, then to the Faroe Islands. From there, they reached Iceland. Later, they crossed to Greenland. Finally, they continued even farther west to a place we now know as Newfoundland in Canada. This wasn't one lucky voyage. It became a route used by generations. That raises an important question. Finding land once might be luck. Finding it again and again and again is something completely different. It means they understood the ocean better than almost anyone else on Earth. But their greatest navigation tool wasn't made of metal. It wasn't an invention. And surprisingly, it wasn't even something they could hold in their hands. Most people imagine the Atlantic as nothing but endless water. To the Norsemen, it was full of clues. Long before satellites, weather forecasts, or radar, experienced sailors understood something that many people still don't realize today. The ocean is constantly communication. You just have to know how to read it. Every morning, before anyone touched a sail, an experienced navigator was already studying the sea. Not with instruments, but with his own eyes. He watched the waves, not the large crashing ones. The smaller, deeper swells, moving beneath them. Unlike surface waves created by the wind, these long ocean swells travel hundreds of kilometers in nearly the same direction. They behave almost like invisible highways across the Atlantic. If the swell suddenly changed direction, something had changed. Maybe a storm had pushed the ship. Maybe a powerful current was pulling them away from their route. The sea itself warned them before they drifted too far. But the waves weren't the only clue. The color of the water also mattered. Deep ocean water appears, a dark blue. As ships approached shallow coastal shelves, the water slowly turned greener. Tiny changes, almost invisible to ordinary travelers, could tell experienced Norse sailors they were getting closer to land. Then came something even more surprising. The smell. It sounds unbelievable. But land has its own scent. Forests release moisture into the air. Seaweed carries a distinct smell. Even birds leave traces that travel with the wind. On certain days, sailors could literally smell an island before they could see it. Modern sailors have reported experiencing exactly the same phenomenon. For the Norsemen, the Atlantic wasn't empty. It was filled with signals, and every signal helped them survive. Now imagine another problem. The ocean may tell you where land is, but it doesn't tell you which direction you're traveling. For that, the Norsemen looked upward. Every sunrise, every sunset, every noon, the sun became their compass. They carefully observed where it rose, where it set, and most importantly, how high it climbed in the sky. If that height changed from one day to the next, they knew they had drifted north or south. Without realizing it, they were using one of the same principles that later became the foundation of celestial navigation. Not with complicated mathematics, just careful observation built over generations. The captain didn't need to know his exact position on a map. He only needed to know one thing. Am I still following the same path as yesterday? If the answer was yes, he continued west. If not, he corrected the course before the mistake became fatal. It was a remarkably simple idea. But there was one enormous problem. The North Atlantic is famous for something that can last for days: thick clouds. Imagine depending entirely on the sun and then not seeing it for an entire week. No shadows, no stars, nothing. How do you navigate when your greatest guide completely disappears? This question puzzled historians for centuries. Then scientists discovered something extraordinary. A simple crystal may have allowed the Norsemen to find the hidden sun, even when the sky was completely covered. And if that's true, they were using a phenomenon of light that modern science didn't fully explain until hundreds of years later. The crystal that could find the invisible sun. For centuries, people believed the Norse stories about a magical sunstone were nothing more than myths. The ancient sagas described a strange crystal that could reveal the sun even when thick clouds covered the sky. It sounded impossible. How could anyone find the sun without actually seeing it? Then, modern physics offered an unexpected answer. Certain crystals, especially a transparent mineral called Iceland spar, interact with polarized light. Even when the sun is hidden behind heavy clouds, its light still travels through Earth's atmosphere in a unique pattern. Human eyes can't detect it, but a crystal can. By slowly rotating the crystal, a skilled observer can estimate where the hidden sun is located. It isn't magic, it's physics. Scientists have recreated this experiment many times. The results show that under the right conditions, it can help estimate the sun's position with impressive accuracy. Does this prove every Norse ship carried a sunstone? No. There is still no direct archaeological proof that every navigator used one. But it shows something remarkable. The legends may have been inspired by real knowledge rather than fantasy. And whether they use crystals or not, one thing is clear. The Norse understood the sky far better than most civilizations of their time. Now imagine you're halfway across the Atlantic. You know where the hidden sun is, but how do you keep sailing in exactly the same direction for days? The answer may have fit inside the palm of your hand. Archaeologists discovered part of a small wooden disc at an old Norse settlement in Greenland. At first it looked like an ordinary piece of carved wood, but researchers noticed carefully carved lines across its surface. Those lines weren't decorations. They matched the path of a shadow cast by the sun. Some historians believe this simple disc acted like a primitive solar compass. At noon, when the sun reached its highest point, the shadow revealed whether the ship had drifted north or south. No metal, no magnets, no moving gears, just wood, sunlight, and generations of experience. Modern explorers even built replicas based on these discoveries. When they tested them during sea voyages, the results were surprisingly accurate. Not perfect, but accurate enough to guide a ship across hundreds of kilometers of open ocean. Sometimes, the simplest ideas are the most powerful. But here's the biggest surprise. The Norsemen's most valuable navigation tool wasn't a crystal. It wasn't a wooden disc. It wasn't even the sun. It was memory. Everything they knew lived inside people. Fathers taught sons. Experienced sailors trained young crew members. Every voyage added another lesson. Every storm became another chapter. Instead of carrying maps, they carried knowledge. They memorized islands in sequence. They remembered where birds appeared during different seasons. They knew which whales migrated through certain waters. They recognized changes in currents. Even the shape of distant clouds could hint that land was nearby. The Atlantic became a map stored entirely inside the human mind. Imagine losing that knowledge. If an experienced crew disappeared at sea, years of navigation experience vanished with them. There were no books, no charts, no backups. Knowledge survived only if someone lived long enough to pass it on. Perhaps that is why some Norse colonies eventually disappeared. Not because they forgot how to build ships, but because they slowly lost the people who knew how to find their way home. Today, when we think about Vikings, we usually picture fierce warriors carrying axes into battle. But history tells a different story. Their greatest weapon wasn't iron. It was knowledge. Long before satellites, before compasses, before detailed maps, they crossed one of the world's most dangerous oceans using careful observation, remarkable memory, and a deep understanding of nature. They studied the waves. They watched the birds. They followed the sun. They trusted experience more than luck. And because of that, they reached lands that much of medieval Europe didn't even know existed. The next time you open a map on your phone, or let GPS guide you to your destination, remember this. Over 1,000 years ago, a Norse navigator stood at the front of a wooden ship, surrounded by nothing but sea and sky. No screen, no satellite, no electronic voice telling him where to turn. Only the wind, the waves, and centuries of knowledge passed from one generation to the next. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't how they crossed the Atlantic. It's how human observation became so powerful that it accomplished what many people still believe was impossible. Because sometimes, the greatest technology isn't technology at all. It's the human mind. If you enjoyed uncovering one of history's greatest navigation mysteries, subscribe for more documentaries that separate fact from legend. And tell me in the comments, do you think you could cross the Atlantic with nothing but the sun, the sea, and your own instincts? Until next time, thanks for watching.